What's going on, heavy heads? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down my top 50 metal moments of 2020. This will include full albums, EPs, singles, live performances, a little bit of everything from all genres. I started off by trying to think, let's see, could I put together a top 10? Well, that top 10 had become my top 20, my top 30, and we ended up at 50. So because we've got 50 to get through, I'll try to keep it fairly short, and we're gonna break it up into 5 videos, 10 releases per video. Now I know even with 50 to go through, I'm gonna miss something. I'm probably gonna miss something that's been right under my nose, but I at least feel like 50 gives me a good amount of music that I can share, that I can recommend and suggest to the heavy heads out there. These 50 are in no order whatsoever. They are just my 50 favorite metal moments of 2020. If you have not done so, please hook up with me on Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get heavy. So first up, we've got the old school death metal band Benediction. Now, despite being a big fan of Annulnath Rock and knowing that Dave Hunt had been a singer for Benediction for a very long time, I never got into them. Probably a big part of that is because they had such a large discography. It's just a lot to take on. But finally, here we are. They came out with Scriptures this year. Badass album. It's straightforward old school death metal, a lot of chunky chugs, a lot of beefy riffs, and I'll tell you what, Dave Ingram, their current vocalist, he does a fantastic rendition of Evil Cookie Monster. A great voice. It really goes well with the style of metal. This album has 0 stankers on it, I promise you that. Check it out if you like yourself some old school death metal. Next up on the list is a progressive death metal band out of PA. That's Illustrium with their EP Insurmountable. Really good stuff here. I've been waiting to actually see some more from them. I really enjoyed their 2015 release, A Tunnel to Eden. It actually has one of the most hype intros to any album. Quite often I would play that as I was walking into the gym trying to get fired up and get a good lift in. I will say that it doesn't seem like they get the attention that they deserve. This is a really strong EP, and if you like bands like Singularity, Legion, the next band actually on the list, Intorx, then I think you guys will really enjoy Illustrium. Check that shit out. Next up on the list, we've got some absolute juggernauts of technical death metal, Intorx with their EP of Sunless Realms. This really reignited my excitement for the band. They put out a great album, actually, I believe it was last year. Yes, last year, The End of an Era. And that was a good album. The previous album, however, Revenants, it just felt like there was something missing there. And I will say overall, my favorite album of theirs is their 2014 release, The Path of Apotheosis. I just didn't feel like I was getting excited about their music quite as much anymore. But this EP, once again, really reignited my interest. These guys are absolute wizards with their instruments. If you yourself like some good wankery, check these guys out. So anybody that's been to the channel knows that we get down with some Nightwish on the channel. That's because of you guys, the heavy heads. So 2020 was a big year for me as far as getting into Nightwish. I had never heard a damn thing from them before. I listened to Noise first, and it wasn't really my favorite song. I didn't know if I was going to get into Nightwish. But anybody that's been to the channel and knows, they know. So when I finally did a reaction for Tribal, I was just loving Flora's voice. I was loving the band overall. Just great arrangements. And of course, it's a cool video. The percussion is just sick throughout. There's a sick little breakdown. And of course, we've got the skeleton dance. I just have to say that this was one of my favorite moments for 2020, for music, for metal. for the channel. So I do thank the heavy heads out there for getting me into Nightwish and all of the other bands that I've been able to discover this year. This next one is a debut from the band Plague with Portraits of Mind. Holy crap. This does not sound like a debut. Very mature, very, very good old school death metal. I guarantee you, if you're into that kind of music, you're gonna love it. It's super catchy. It even has a unique ability to keep you drawn in, even when the album slows down a little bit here or there. Chock full of sick riffs, great vocals. It's got a great bass tone as well. If you are interested, I would check out the song Portal into Reality in particular. I guarantee you will not be let down. Next up on the list, we have a live performance of A Hidden History of the Human Race by Blood Incantation. This album overall, I think, is fantastic. They create this very nice soundscape, but then they will bludgeon you at times with some just absolute brutal death metal, but then a section of instrumentals that sounds like it's out of Egypt. Being able to actually watch the performance of that album start to finish was really enjoyable. So if you like your bread with a little extra crust and you like to think about the space above while listening to some metal, definitely check this performance out. Next up is a band that has become one of my very favorite thrash bands, Nervosa, and this is their single Guided by Evil. So they recently went through a lineup change. They lost their vocalist and drummer. So of course, as a fan, you get pretty nervous, especially when a vocalist leaves. But a absolute monster of a singer, Diva Satanica from Bloodhunter, came in, more than filled the shoes. I am absolutely stoked that I don't have to worry anymore about the band. They instantly came out with some great music. If anything, I think they sound probably a little bit better, really. I think there's a little bit more dynamics in the vocals with Diva taking the place. So check these guys out. If you like plenty of venom in your vocals and you like some heavy ass thrash, check them out. Next up on the list, I can keep this one pretty brief. It's the Black Dahlia Murder with their album Verminous. I did a full video review on this album kind of in the infancy of the channel. So I would say at this point the album's grown on me quite a bit. It's right up there with my favorite previous, which would be Ritual. I've been listening to Black Dahlia for years. They are an incredible band. They're incredibly consistent. If you are not familiar with them, please, it's time to check them out. They've influenced a lot of metal bands. You can hear it all over the place. Black Dahlia is almost a genre of their own. Next up on the list is a band that reached out to me through Instagram. That's Intorx. We did a reaction video for their song Hypocritical Faith. I then followed through and got the digital download for the album Faceless Insanity. And I'll tell you what, I thought I had a pretty good read on these guys, but then I found out very quickly that was not quite the case. They're pulling from a lot of different genres, all very talented. I love the vocals in particular, a lot of diversity, and that's something I mention quite often. I really like a mixture of highs and lows, growls, and you name it. This album has a lot of surprises on it. I highly recommend it. It's definitely worth a listen. Check it out. And the very last band we're going to talk about today is Unleash the Archers with their album Abyss. I did reaction videos for Abyss, this single, as well as the song Soulbound. Both really good songs, a little different. Abyss is very epic, and Soulbound was just a little bit more of a straightforward, hard hitter. But either way, I was really digging those songs, and I'll tell you what, the album itself is definitely their best album to date. It's super, super catchy. I promise you, give the second song on the album a listen. It's called Through Stars. Tell me that's not the catchiest damn chorus you've ever heard. And I, of course, know now that I've just opened myself up to people acting like trolls. So, troll away. I absolutely love Britney's voice. I love the guitar work. Even the drummer stepped it up a bit on this album. It sounded like to me anyway. I tell you what, guys, this is a ridiculously catchy album. It's also one of the few albums I can put on when it's game night with the friends or I'm just hanging out with the wife. It's one of those few albums I can put on that my non-metal friends can listen to and they don't hate me. So bonus points. There you go, heavy heads. There's the first 10, 40 to go. Let me know in the comments what you think of my picks. I also want to hear your favorites. Until next time, keep it heavy.